Alrighty, welcome to Tony the Tiger's King of Fighters All-Star New Players Guide. Anyway, I had just whipped through the first 3 stages where you beat up 6 goons and a boss, and logged to the lobby, collected the goodies it gives you at the start of the game, including my 94, Baseball Yuri, a couple other things, and I did my free summons for the day. I am going to briefly go back over my summon setting recommendations. The game lets you give odds up to different sets of cards or fighters. What I recommend starting with are option cards. The 6-star card for your starter, Kyo or Yori. I don't recommend starting with Chizuru. And then these other 4 option cards are pretty good starting cards. We got Christmas Yuri, which is straight damage. Swimsuit Mai gives you super armor. Maxima gives you cooldown reduction on your skills. And Mary here gives you gold gain bonuses, which you can also level up with the cards. For your starting set of characters, I recommend Nameless 02, 001, Mr. Karate, Gaines 96, and All-Star Lady 0. Can you guess who the favorite boss of the game is? Anyway, these are all like very good characters to draw, and you want to keep them up there until you've drawn them at least 3 or 4 times. That said, we're going back to our story mode. Now, I'm going to skip most of the story dialogue, but it's pretty good for a video game story. It gives the characters a lot of personality, including the NPCs, and it stays very true to the roots. Inside of an office somewhere, we're getting ready to battle. Now, I did get the 50 free fighter summon tokens that came with the 7 deadly sins, which included 3 copies of Bon and Elizabeth, which is pretty big. Now that said, since this is the beginner story mode, I'm not going to use them yet. We'll come back to them later when it's time to power them up. And then we're going to make a beginner's formation here. 1 major character of every color. Let's see, do we use Baseball Yuri, or who else do we have on our yellows? I think we might be using Baseball Yuri, at least for a little while. And 95-80. We'll definitely power up our 7 Deadly Sins characters for other reasons. And 98 Rio is just another good to go. So out of this batch, you can kind of choose whoever you want from the beginning of formation, but we want to take one of these characters and make them super leveled. Let's see. You can also kind of drag these around as you like, and use the power-ups you pick up in the first couple levels, well, after a level or 2, to power them up. Maybe we just stick with the Yori for now, until we can use these capsules. So the goal in 94 here, to begin with, is to get 1,000 rubies, and to open our power-up dungeons. This takes about 5 or 6 chapters, and we just generally kind of run through. Here's where it tells you can use autoplay, and most players will default to semi-auto. This will have the character run around, use his basic attacks, but you control when they use their moves and their assists. Full auto lets them call strikers, use their specials, use their supers, and ignite their awakening wings, which we're not going to see for a little while now. So even if you don't really know how to play the game, you can set this in a way where the levels will let you tank it themselves. Now, Yorigami has an early disadvantage against the Psycho Soldier team, but makes up for it by being super effective against Rugal. Kyo 97 is a little more straightforward. But either of those are very solid early picks. So we're just going to start leveling our character. Yeah, I played King of Fighters All-Star since it dropped on Global, which was around Thanksgiving of last year. No, it was around September of last year, because we had Halloween characters. And then for Thanksgiving, we got the Tekken characters. This was around August or September of last year. That said, I'm probably not going to be using my main account here because of stability issues. This emulator that I'm using really only does the 32-bit version of King of Fighters All-Star, which as long as you stay in one game mode at a time, works pretty good. But if you go switching around to the different modes, it has a tendency to soft crash a lot and force reboots. So if you're on an older phone that only has like 2 gigs of RAM or less, you'll probably want to do a full application reset whenever you change what you're doing in the game. Just for the sake of stability. You don't want to be in the middle of progress and have the game crash on you. But we're going to probably see that a few times, and I think it's important to illustrate that. If nothing else, to the devs. So there we go, Chapter 2. I think now we can start using our power-up capsules. But we're just going to keep on rolling. And since you're already accelerating your levels, we're going to power you. We're going to power level you a bit. Okay. We're also going to take this moment to equip one of the option cards that we got. Maybe both of them. We'll equip both of these option cards, because the game doesn't really expect you to use these yet. But now watch as we just kind of mow through these characters here. Oh, we're in a street in a Chinatown. Maybe it's not the Psycho Soldiers that it's weak against. Okay. So now we're talking about leverage. All the levels from here on out are color themed. Now this is going to be whichever one your character is strong against. So Iori gets blue because he's purple. You'll see this little wheel up by the timer and the auto. If you picked Kyo, you would be red, so this level would turn green. And if you picked Chizuru, it would be purple because she's a yellow. And it's really just to illustrate that principle. And we'll come back to clear using tag during a gym cleanup. It's pretty common to do 2 laps along the story route. One to clear the stages and one to go back and get missing gems. So the other goal, besides getting power-up dungeons and 1,000 rubies, is the reason we're getting power-up dungeons and 1,000 rubies. Because by the end of this, we want to have at least one character at level 50. This will make chewing through the 95 story mode a lot quicker. An account rank up will restore your AP, which you don't have to worry about because in these first 15 levels, it will give you AP faster than you can possibly spend it. There's generally a limit to how many dungeons or how many in-game things you can do a day, apart from a few things that you can only do a certain number of times, like 1 to 5. We'll cover those in later episodes too. So this right here happens one time and one time only, and not even when you repeat the level anymore. Honestly, I kind of wish story mode had these random encounters scripted in them sometimes, but that never really happens. So it makes me wonder why it's even here to begin with. Look at that. We spent 4 AP and got an account rank up. And I do believe it is entirely based on... Give me those gems, you. Oh look, we're already getting super close to that 1,000 gems to begin. No, we're strong against the Psycho Soldier team. Which is weird. Because I thought they're yellow. But I guess they're blue because it's whichever you pick. Alright. So this and maybe one more chapter, and we should have enough rubies and have our power-up dungeons unlocked. The characters do appear as end-of-stage bosses, though, too, which is really cool. Dunk. Alright. It's not a full clear because we didn't tag on that one level, but as you can see, we're just passively building up our other characters, and that is completely acceptable. One more chapter should have us with enough rubies to... Okay, so here we have support characters. Generally, you can choose them automatically. Yep, okay, so we're at 808. It might take 2 more chapters instead of 1, but... Let's see. Oh, that's right. So the levels that have KOF characters have a rerun stage afterwards called a soul event, where you basically get souls to power them up. It's another thing we'll cover later. I forgot that that's part of the sequence, because usually I just skip it. The game also has little mini games like this, which is easier to play on a phone than on a computer. But just because I have to move the mouse and click it. In order for it to register. And there it is. Oh no, that's a big old chunk towards. That's another 100 rubies. So we only got a little bit longer to go, and then we have our 1,000 rubies, and then we're ready to move on to phase 2. So here, 913. We're getting there. Oh, we lost. Yes, you did. I'm glad we've established that. So yeah, a supporter is like a striker you can call in that will sit and fight with you for a wave of enemies or through a boss for a little bit of it. They're in for about 10 seconds, I think. Alright. And just like that, through another level. See, normally the bonus like that indicates a coin gain bonus, but we might have an item gain bonus with a striker link somehow. So I'm gonna auto select recommended so we can stop messing with that menu. I really don't get why the bonus is there. Oh no, it's because I have the baseball Yuri card. That's what it is. The baseball Yuri card, I think, gives you more experience capsule items. So it's good to have equipped on your main character towards the beginning of the game, even if it's not the strongest battle card out there. Yeah, wave levels are like the other levels, except you don't have to run through them. Alright, King. Dust. Oh boy, it's another tag level, which I'm not even really going to bother with. We'll come back and gem clean up that later. Because along with the progress, we should be carving out a few achievements. Next. Skip. We have, well, We're about 30 rubies away now. 80 more rubies there. Alright, we got our 1,000 rubies. So now, let's head to the summons. And we're going to use our one-shot infinite reset summon. Alright, welcome back. Apparently, since we did not confirm an infinite reset summon, it didn't spend it. So, now, we're going to be using the skip button a lot. Hey, cool is cool. She's not who we're looking for. Hydern is Hydern. It's not what we're looking for. This is only going to give you like 1 5-star. Jane Fei has a good leader bonus. She's not who we're looking for. Terry 97 is probably the worst of the Terry versions. It's not what we're looking for. Later, Chrysalid is a respectable boss. Now, Gaines is someone we're looking for. So we're going to confirm Mr. Gaines and go off on our way to the power-up dungeon. You know what? I'm going to collect all these bonuses. And we're about to get Orochi Shirmi too. We're going to take take a couple of these others. Now, first thing we're going to do, we're going to bench Baseball Yuri. Well, no, she's still our yellow character, huh? We're going to bench Andy 98 because Gaines is our new green. And how much can we power you up right now? 24 of these. It's not nothing. But we're going to go through our first 3, maybe even 4 difficulties, but at least 3 difficulties of power-up dungeon here to get ourselves a level 50 Gaines. Now, fighting gamers might not recognize this tactic, but RPGers do. It's called power leveling. And it's going to get us to shred through about half the early game. We're still going to want to do things with it. Alright. That is like the only time you're going to see us do this on easy. Alright. Pro tip, don't take early friend requests. Wait until you're at least level 90 and people are on your level. A lot of people have came and dropped the game. So you're going to have a couple people that straggle and are left behind. Now, one thing I did do earlier that you might have missed, so I went to the secret shop and I bought skip tickets. Those are worth their weight in gold. And here shortly, we're going to show you why. Now for her, I'm actually gonna power Yori up a little more, just because I think he's gonna get more out of it than gains at this point. And we're really only gonna need to beat this once. As you can see, it's not giving us too much trouble at all. And one more Mr. Taco. Hello, Dancer Elizabeth. Good game, Pork Chop. So the higher in these that we go, the more power-up items we get, and the more powerful the items are going to be. Now, once you beat it, it'll say clear, but if you do all the goals, it'll say completed. Then you can use auto battle or auto clear to use skip tickets in order to acquire a big chunk of the items. And just like that, our AP is back again. But now we have all these delightful power-up items. So let's dump 25 of these on gains. Takes him up to level 45. And the super success bonus gives us 50. We'll claim a couple daily prizes here. The 6 dailies is a critical. So now we're going to switch these two. And gains is going to, well, I'm actually going to equip the battle cards to him now that are on Yori. Just for the item game bonus. And then finally, let's tackle the expert level. We'll come back to these other higher difficulties as need be. But now we've done it. We have our first level 50 character. And he's one of the big three. At this point, you're in fantastic shape for the next phase of the game, which is going to be to get one of every color up to level 50. Which I guess we could do with more power-up dungeons at this point. The other thing we're going to want to do here while we're in the power-up dungeons is we're going to want to start collecting triangle and square cores to start powering up our character's moves. This will give us our super moves, our third specials, and start building some passive abilities on the characters. What? Alright. So I guess Expert is going to wait till we grow a little more. Nevertheless, we have hard. It's something to start with. Core dungeon is not ready yet, so we'll have to come back to you. But yep, there you go. Now you have a level 5 or level 50 tough main character. So next time we come to the 95 story, because at this point we've got a level 50 box character ready to shred through the game. The rest of 95 should unlock some other stuff for us to play, or the rest of 94 should unlock stuff so that we can play around in it a little bit. Oh, yes. Yeah. And just like that, we're off. And just like that, in 12, less than half an hour, we have power leveled ourselves to level 50. Hi, bye. So, let's give a couple of these other characters a chance to get some growth going. Yeah, an early dodge will usually throw most of these bosses right off. Oh, we get another trip for cleanup. Here we go. What the bonuses were from having baseball Yuri as a striker. One of these other characters. Alright. Well, if it's not our first recruit, you're done. Nope, there's still bonus. Hi, Kibibora. Bye, Kibibora. I mean, I guess we can do the rerun level, but it gives us 5 more rubies. Alright. So generally, we're just cleaning our way through the 94 story in order to enable a lot of the other game modes. Hi, Tito. Bye, Tito. So yeah, at this point, we can switch characters for an advantage, but I'd say being level 50 is a big enough advantage at this point. Yeah. Game does a good job of explaining super armor to you. So yes, this is gains at a type disadvantage. With an assist, well, I guess he was a type advantage, because it was red. And there you go. And there they go. It's another tactic you could try to use with the tag. So you want your supporter out at the beginning of the match. If you have to get a certain kind of finish on the boss, and the supporter isn't that finish, you want to get them out of the way. Then you want to get that boss down in like 3 or 4 health bars. Well, that didn't work. Because I shredded him way too quick. Okay. But we'll come back later for gym cleanup. And just like that, our characters are gaining levels. I ran by Rand. And I think we have this and the Rugal chapter, and then 94 is done. Alright. Now we have 2 more matches to go. We have the Akaris, and then we have Rugal. So I think we're going to call it there. No. We'll take a cut and then bust out the rest of 94 story mode after this. Alright. Beginner's Guide of King of Fighters All-Star continues as we creep through the last couple chapters of KOF 94. Again, it's very simple and straightforward. We show up, we kick butt, we roll on. You know, this is actually the 3rd time I've tried to compile this. I tried to rush it all out in a hefty Sunday, only to find that OBS could not recognize my video drivers because it was configured to the hardware and not to software recording mode, which, ugh. That and a botched attempt before actually left me with 2 extra spare accounts, which, I don't know. They weren't so bad. I'd shoot them through 95, and in my attempts to record this, they might be giveaways. But I do want to use one to illustrate one principle at some point. Oh. Nobody's friends with Monday, let's be real. Alright. So I started way back with like Fatal Fury 2. When I started playing King of Fighters related games. It wasn't called the King of Fighters then, even though the tournament itself still was. But at first, as a longtime SNK fan, like I was kind of taken aback by the simplicity of the game. But when you get into the competitive multiplayer part, like the footsies are no less intense just because the controls are simplified. And like real King of Fighters games are input sticklers. You can't even put your commands in too fast or they won't register. Like you gotta really hold a pace with the game to kind of make your character execute well. Like it's fast, but it's like a controlled level of fast. It's loosened up a bit more with these last few games, since they basically play at lightning speed now. But yeah, King of Fighters 94 didn't really make its way here to the States until way later in Reboot. In 95, I just liked having the compilation of characters that I liked from other games fighting each other. It wasn't really until King of Fighters 96 that I really started digging it, though. Between the role mechanics and the way the characters felt and handled. I know a lot of people didn't like the fireballs disappearing, and at first I was skeptical too, but it made it a lot more gritty. Like, you couldn't just zone across the screen for forever. Like, that game made you get in and hit someone. And its soundtrack is easily on par with any Mega Man game or Sonic game out there. Like, it is iconic for good reasons. And while I enjoyed a bit of Alpha 3, like all the mobility options afforded in 96 just really took it to another level for me. So 96 is the first KOF that really sunk me in. And seeing the big bads back from that made it all the more juicy. Well, yeah, we're like 4 episodes in now. You bet they're tired of waiting for us. And just like that, they're down. '97 was kind of alright, although I could tell it wasn't finished. Like, if nothing else, the lack of any vocals on Billy King. And a couple of key characters that you knew were going to have background music that didn't. We're up to the Street Fighter II bonus game. The classic break the car. So here you kind of just want to do like a full combo special. And there you go. You can take a detour to the core dungeon and unlock your third move and your super. This is not even a bad time to do that. The car level is a pretty good send-off. But hi. Bye. So this is generally where, if you bothered to power up Iori or your purple character, they would also treat you this. But if you got nameless instead of gains, then you'd be shredding these stages. And just like that. So where was I? Yeah, so 97 was neat, but always felt incomplete to me. And for some reason, Orochi was never as hard to beat as Gaines. Like, the only character that was really hard to beat in that game was Orochi Iori. And I think it's just his jumping physics that make people like him. Like, you are airborne for like 5 frames. It makes for a very fast-paced jump-in, high-low mix-up game. 98 was the first perfect KOF game. Like, I played that for probably 2 years end on end and did not get bored with it. I played KOF 99 and 98 interchangeably. 99 probably had the second best soundtrack of its time, right after 96. Like everything on the 99 soundtrack was pretty jamming. Feel like something strange will come at me again. Well, what do you think this is? The internet? Watch for tentacles. Alright. And just like that, we are almost done. Oh, beat the boss with the purple element. So now I'm going to bring you over here. Do we have enough power-up items to get you up to 50 yet? Good enough. So this is kind of a foreshadowing of KOF 95's goals, where they expect you to beat the first boss with a particular color element. And the easiest way to do that is to have both of them. That. And now we have reached the end of KOF 94. You can also hit enemies off the ground. Just like that, he's dusted. Oh, there's another cutscene, huh? I forgot there's an ending cutscene. But I'm going to take this award. And there we go. KOF 94 has been completed. So tomorrow on KOF 95, we're going to work on building one character of every color and swapping them accordingly. Till next time. Oh, we are going to take one more detour. We're going to take one more detour to the core dungeon to power up our characters and maybe show you time attack.